Lads, welcome back. Season 2 of the Backdoor Cup podcast. We've had a good day out yesterday, but how are we getting on this morning?
Good. Everyone's complaining that he's a bit sore and stiff, but we got a bit of work done this morning, bit of breakfast in this, and round to go. Good to be back.
Yeah, good. The same as that. Yeah, we'll see who's sore and stiff in 2 weeks, but I'm feeling good. Good to be back. Good to have a break as well, I suppose, from it, and it kind of refreshes the mind and ready to get back. And it's obviously different kind of circumstances this year, which is good, and that hopefully the two of us will be playing. Yeah, looking forward to it.
We had periods last year where you were both playing, but not for extended periods, I guess. But it was also good to kick off the year with what was essentially our first group trip or excursion to go to the club finals yesterday. So it's not the first time that we've hung out, obviously, but it's the first time that all three of us have done something other than podcasting, I reckon.
Yeah, podcast. I suppose the golf you would count as podcasting. We're on the clock then as well. But no, it was nice just to go and, I suppose, relax and just chill, like meet up and chill and not have fucking cameras in your face. Like, apart from a girl getting asked for photos everywhere I went.
And the funny thing is the conversation doesn't actually vary that much from what we talk about in the podcast, other than there's probably a few names and anecdotes thrown in that we wouldn't throw into the podcast.
Yeah, it's a bit, I don't think you could air a lot of the stuff that you speak about today. No, good crack. And yeah, we'll be talking about football today, because even though we probably spent most of yesterday talking about football, and S&C is probably all we do talk about. But yeah, I suppose it's one of those things where you kind of do miss it, as well as the fact that it is nice to get a break.
And I'd say fans are missing it as well and looking forward to these new rule changes in the league, which we will get into later on. But we may cover a great football game that we saw yesterday. Probably not as well contested hurling match between Nafina and Sarsfields, but the football looked like it was going that way. And then Errigal came back into it in the second half, and it was a good watch. There was a good few people left at half time, though.
Yeah, there was people left in the first half, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was that 5 minutes before half time. You just saw I don't know if they were going red, game over, day done, or else beat the queue to the toilets in the shop, like. But it was game of 2 halves, all right, like. But yeah, it wasn't looking good there. 15 minutes in, we were all going, lads, what are we at there?
Well, I actually joked. I said maybe we will leave and at half time, but then I said, no, we better stay because we're talking about it on the podcast tomorrow. And good job we did stay, because we got fairly into it in the second half.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. Like, it was a cracking game in the end up. Like, you don't often see a team go 14 points down and actually come back, especially at that level. And you would have expected Cuala to probably kick things on. And they were probably half disappointed with their display in that second half, but yeah, it was entertaining towards the end. And you think about the impact of Dara going off in the first half as well, and potentially what role that would have played come the last 5-10 minutes, when they probably just needed that 1-2 big scores. If they had brought it back to 2, I think there would have been a massive chance of at least getting it level. But yeah, I think that Cuala's big players showed up. Obviously Con was massive and had a few massive plays that probably was the difference.
To use the old adage, I suppose, it was a game of 2 halves. Both teams only played for 1 half, essentially. And it seemed that maybe there was a daunting experience for Errigal going into the first half in Croker, whereas the likes of Mick Fitz and Con and Padro Coffey Byrne, and they've played there before loads of times, so they're used to it. But it seemed that Cuala being so direct in the first half just had Errigal completely shell-shocked, and they weren't able to live with the runners coming through the middle. And then Cuala just made hay when the sun was shining and converted those direct plays into goals in the first half, and that proved to be the difference, really.
Yeah, I think like they knew Cuala was coming with extreme athleticism. I think they probably just were a bit flat even when they were on the ball, but also flat in terms of their intensity in the tackle when Cuala were attacking them. There was no real pressure on the ball. They were getting pivot passes, 1-2s, and there was 3-4 coming straight down the middle every time. So once that momentum is there, it's very hard to turn it as well. That third goal, I think, was just the killer, really. But like, to be able to turn that around was mad. Like, I honestly didn't think they would bring it back that close. But half time came, and obviously McGinley had a look over what was actually going on, and they corrected basically everything. Like, because I think Cuala might have created one goal chance second half, and that was the very end when the wife.
There was a block. There was a good block in the second half too.
Aye,
Might have been Cormac Quinn.
Last 5 minutes.
I can't remember who it was. Last 5 minutes there was a big block there. Like
Scramble defense was a lot better in the second half.
Yeah.
Like, there was urgency when they were going back, and every man was hunting the ball.
So that's what changed in defence. But talk to me about what it looked like changed in attack for them in the second half.
they went after it. Like I think in the first half we were saying you could see when Errigal got the ball and went forward, a lot of the players were standing back behind the ball, looking the ball to be sort of recycled out. It was the complete opposite of what Cuala were doing. They were just committing men forward. They were taking things on. They were running at so many different angles, going at pace, and there's 3-4 different runs happening. And to be honest, the first half, Errigal boys couldn't get near them. But then in the second half, Errigal started going at them a bit more direct. They started getting men up the pitch quicker. They were creating the spaces. They were creating opportunities, and some of the point scoring was unbelievable.
This is probably more a question for Dara, but what Owen seems to be talking about there in terms of the directness is there's more penetration from the runners coming through the middle, off the shoulder, and going through, I suppose, that green zone around a D and creating point scoring and goal scoring chances. What do you want from a runner coming from the outside in?
You have to be taking someone with you. So obviously, when the team gets bodies back, they're trying to cover that middle zone. There's loads of body there. If you have 6 or 7 men out around that arc, it's impossible to break it down unless you get pot shots from 40, 45 metres. So what you're looking for is the man on the ball to be driving with intent, and then you're looking for the lads who are maybe on that wing coming off with intent as well. Because if you come off the wing but you're not running with any intent, they're not going to go with you. They're just going to leave you. So if you come off with intent, you bring a man. He's forced to mark you. If another man comes, you have to get him to be forced to mark as well, and then it creates scoring opportunities around that D area. But yeah, it's depth, width, and intent probably.
Is it important for the runners coming through the middle there into that D area to get out of that zone as fast as they've got into it? Because it looked like in the first half for Errigal, they were all crowding that zone, and then when somebody was trying to get a shot off, there were a ton of Cuala defenders around and they just didn't have the space to take those shots on.
I think there's an element of that, but I think the problem in the first half was that there was nobody making the runs. It was the man on the ball was going, trying to make the run, trying to be direct, but then there was nobody coming at another angle to pop it off, and then they were running the 3-4 men. Like the amount of turnovers Cuala got just from having extra bodies there, and the Errigal man running in with no support there, and they're kind of forced into it. They're just going like, I need to try and do something, or there was a hand pass just thrown out. They're like, right, get this out of the contact, but then they were throwing the hand pass out and it was going to the Cuala man. There was nobody within 10, 15 metres of the Errigal man. Like.
Why is that easier to defend than on?
Because there's no option. If you get 2 or 3 men and you have someone running down a blind alley, like the player on the ball shouldn't be getting out of there. Like it doesn't even have to be that you're making contact. It's just if you're in that vicinity, you're cutting off their space. If they turn, anywhere they turn, they see a red jersey, it's like, right, they're either just going to throw the ball away, going to get blown up for overcarrying, or then your opportunity to then tackle is there. It's just, you've trapped them in the corner, there's nowhere to go.
And is that on you to make a decision then whether you're going to press and go and try and get a turnover by making a tackle, or can you sometimes just sit back and wait for him to overcarry if he's no options?
It depends. It depends on what the scenario is. Like depends how many players are around them. Depends whereabouts in the pitch it is maybe as well. What's the sort of stage of the game? But like if you know that there's someone going, there may be someone's in front slowing up the ball. You've maybe men coming in from either side, maybe someone behind. Like if you're facing the ball, you can be getting hands on. But if you're standing behind them, you don't need to go and reach in and lunge. It's like you're just waiting for him to turn, because then as soon as he turns to you, then you're bang on the ball. Rather than, I think the easy option or the most enticing option is like, right, there he is, just everyone goes for him, and then you end up like 5 men just pulling and dragging, and then they get a free in anyway. So it's like, it's having that discipline to be like, right, I'm here, I'm involved, but I'm not involved just yet, but in this next split second, as soon as he turns, it's like bang, it could be in then. So it's just picking your moment of when to go. Like,
what did Cuala get wrong then in the second half, if anything, on or in their defence? In that, like, it looked like Errigal were scoring some scores where they did have a defender right in their face, and they were still throwing it up in front of them and putting it over from acute angles.
Yeah, probably Errigal kicked in. Like, they didn't seem like, I don't think they'll say themselves that they didn't perform at all in that first half. I think they just seemed very flat and slow, and I think McGinley speaking about it, there was a lot of emotion and stuff in the build up to it. Maybe that was too much, and I've seen it before in our teams where there can be a lot of emotion beforehand, and it can be you're almost psyched out of it nearly. So maybe it was just that it took them a wee while to get going. But then I'm sure they sort of regrouped at halftime and then went the game. But I think, I don't know, it seemed like Cuala maybe, I don't know if it was Cuala took the foot off the gas a wee bit. Again, naturally, when you're maybe 14 points up, you're kind of going, right, solid here. But Errigal obviously upped the game big time and took it to them a bit more.
They haven't had a team come back at them when they've made
true.
that big scoring difference, I suppose, in the first half yet, as they've got through Leinster anyway. So that was probably new for them.
They were still pressing high enough up the pitch in that second half. Like when you from the view we had, they weren't dropping off 14, 15 behind the wall unless Errigal had a slow build up and had pushed everyone up the pitch.
They probably dropped 15 behind the ball in the first half compared to the
first
second half.
Yeah, but I think that might be more because Errigal were trying to attack with everybody, and it was nearly forcing them to just sit in. But yeah, I think I mentioned it at the game yesterday. I just think if they had kept the scoreboard ticking at all, it would have been out of sight. But it was nearly like, wait, we've already scored so much. Probably that urgency wasn't there to commit bodies forward to attack. What did they score? Like a couple of points in the second half, 3-4 points.
If you look at the scores they did get to, it was, I suppose, again, it's like chicken or the egg. Like it's like they got the scores breaking at pace when they maybe got
All
a turnover.
transition,
like
yeah.
it's that's just pure Dublin football, like, isn't it? Just that turnover, break at pace, go fast, transition.
But even their goals in the first half were about transitioning quick too.
Going direct too, yeah. But it seemed that in the second half, whenever they got a run, it was they had the space to go then and did. But then again, Errigal are chasing the game. They're probably committing more men forward, so it's like it both sort of plays into each other.
What was the moment where they won the game, do you reckon?
Probably that third goal, like. Yeah, I'd say probably Errigal lost it in the first 15 minutes, really. Like, just having that slow of a start. They did unbelievable to come back and probably still could have got something from it, but I just think it was like if that had played for an extra 5 minutes in the first half or started 5 minutes early in the first half, could have been a completely different game. Like,
The ref blew it up, I think.
But you had said, I remember when, I think, did they have a free or they were blocked? Errigal were blocked up and the Cuala 21 in the last 5 minutes, and then Cuala turned around
both
and transitioned down and scored from it.
There was a block and the free
There was
drop
a
short.
2 point swing.
It was the one that dropped short. Was the 2 point swing? No?
Yeah,
Wasn't it?
Potentially.
It could have went to 2 and then it went to 4.
yeah.
Yeah. And that was the turning point when the boys fisted the ball over the bar. It was done then, so there was only 40 seconds, a minute.
So then it wasn't ultimately lost. Like, obviously they didn't come back, but they still had a chance in the last minute or two, but obviously a slim chance.
You can't look past the first, like, what did they have, the 1 or 2 points on the board up until 20-25 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, that's not gonna.
In their review, they'll be more focused on the goals conceded rather than that.
Oh, yeah.
missed
Yeah,
opportunity.
100%.
Like, I said, scored 116. Like, you score 116, you're expecting to win a game with that. Like, do you know what I mean? But 111 in the second half.
111-5 in the second half.
So ifs, buts and maybes, but if Dara had stayed on and Rory obviously wasn't 100% from what we're hearing towards the end of the game, if they had kept them fresh and they were 100%, could they have pulled it back, or would they have a better chance of pulling it back?
You would.
Logic would dictate they would, but that's not how
It works.
things play out, really. Like, I feel like when Dara went off, it was like Petey Hart was like, right, I'm going to lead this thing. If he hadn't went off, would he have had the same impact? I don't know. Would he have been inside to come out and collect that ball and turn, put it in the top bag, which we'll just say is probably one of the best goals I've ever seen. Like, would he have been in full forward if Dara was still in the pitch in that moment? You just don't know how moments are going to play out if someone stays in the pitch. Like, Errigal might have just kept trying to get Dara on the ball all the time and it mightn't have worked. So it's impossible to say, but obviously he's one of the best forwards in Ireland at the minute, so like, you'd want him on the pitch, obviously.
Do you think Hart has that second half if Canavan's still on the field?
That's what I'm saying. As in terms of a leader, I think he might have just flicked the switch and be like, right, I'm going to lead this. And like Joe Goose was the same. There was a few other leaders that were just phenomenal. Like,
Was he the best player on the pitch?
Peter Hart. Yeah, I think that second half display was one of the best displays individually I've seen in a long time. Like, not even just the scores and the goal he kicked, like, he was everywhere and he was getting his paws and everything. He was winning dirty ball. So, yeah, in terms of like someone out around that middle half forward kind of region, it was phenomenal. Like,
so we focus on Errigal quite a lot there, but in terms of Cuala, who stood out for you in terms of performances yesterday from them?
Colin and his directness was unreal. Was the brother Niall, is it?
Yeah, look at
Yeah, he was very good as well. Like there was, you could see when they were attacking, there was an easy pass to give, but then they would skip the easy one and get it to one of the O'Callaghan's because they knew if they got it, they'd take 2-3 men on, back themselves, and probably guaranteed a score 9 times out of 10 there. Like so, Fitzsimons obviously showed his experience and ability there too. Like, and then around the midfield, they were massive. Like Joe Goo's a big boy. Like, and them boys looked like they made him look small. Like, O'Coffey Byrne, yeah, unreal. Just 2 big lumps, can get up and down the pitch and move well, and quality footballers too. Like, so.
What would worry you? What would worry you about marking one of the O'Callaghan's the most? Let's say.
Probably just
what makes them so effective.
It's how explosive they are, how unpredictable they are. They can go off either direction, but it's like you probably know that they're going to run at you. But like I'm sure everyone in Errigal knew these boys are going to run direct at us. But it's like, right, well, how do you stop it? Like, and they're so strong too. You're getting the contact on. You're trying to get and they're just brushing you off like powerhouses. Like,
is that something that other forwards can learn from, or is it something that they have and
a knee to the head and within the first 10 minutes mate fucking put them away like a knee to the head in the first 10 minutes mate do something with it like so I'm not gonna nut.
I don't know, like not everyone has the physical qualities that Con has. Like that's not the game that everyone should be playing, going straight at your man when there's 3 or 4 bodies in front of you. You're gonna 80-90% of players are gonna get bottled up in that scenario. So
as you saw with Errigal.
Yeah, running through, you get so far and then you're done. Whereas Con was kind of breaking 2 or 3, and then there was bang a runner coming straight off his shoulder. Like what did he kick? 2 points from play, but he created
everything,
a lot of scores. So, and he's so unselfish as well. Con, like I don't think I've rarely seen him in a scenario where he should have passed the ball and he didn't. So his decision making again is phenomenal. Like and then he's bringing 45s and all as well. So. Yeah, he could have been picking them from 65, I'd say, the way he was picking them. It was crazy. It was unreal.
My first one flew over.
Okay, so a more outside the box question, but you obviously play midfield for Club Dara and the odd time for Fermanagh, you've given it a go there. If you were to mark Peadar O'Coffey Byrne, what would worry you the most?
The size of him, like. Just if... I wouldn't... Like, it's not that you'd be worried, it's just like... He's going to be a nuisance in the air. You're going to struggle to catch any ball over him on our kickouts. So I'd be more inclined to try and get up and just compete with him and get physical and get my own players to be smarter around breaking ball is what I would be thinking. Like technically, he's not at the level of like Brian Fenton, but physically, he's more physicality there. So, and he's a runner. He seems like he's a bit of a runner as well. So you'd be kind of worried about having to run back towards your own goal quite often. What is he, 6'6" and 100 kilos.
Bigger than you.
Chop him at the ankles, that's how you say.
Okay, so now to change, I suppose, where we're focused, but what you've outlined there about Cuala, and you've touched on it as well, Owen, saying that that's the way Dublin football is. With these new rule changes coming in that all the fans are excited about, is it extremely well suited to Dublin clubs to dominate in the next few years? Particularly Cuala.
You would say so, like that athletic, like it's you have that pace, that conditioning, that ability just to repeat those efforts, but also make very good decisions on the ball, use the ball very well, be like crisp through the hands, very little turnovers. Like it probably ticks all the boxes really. Like I think that from what I've been seeing in challenge matches, it's the turnovers that are obviously turnovers always did get punished, but I think even more so now because if that ball, yes, you have 3 men up front and there's loads of space, but if the defender gets in front, gets that ball, like it's straight up the other pitch, and you can get caught in that just up and down, up and down. So how they use the ball and how they're like their efficiency and just the decision making and just giving that pass just at the right time when there's another runner coming, like that can be massively effective. Like
with that turnover and the 3 men up, is the game becoming more direct? Have there been more kick passes into the inside, or are a lot of teams favouring still transitioning through the hands to get up there?
It depends. It's not. There's not a massive change in the kicks inside. Definitely, when you get a turnover, you look up and there's guaranteed to be 2 or 3 up there. Whereas before, likelihood was there was 1 max, maybe none up there. So that kicks on there, and then obviously you've got kickouts as well. If you win your own break long, or you win your own kickout long clean, the kick's on inside as well. So there's definitely going to be more. But in terms of when I play, like in general play, most of the time there's not going to be a kick on, because you're attacking with 12, but they're also defending with 12, and they're just getting all the bodies back and trying to cover the space. So, but there is more space, and I feel like the length of time it takes for a team to create a score now is going to be shorter than it was before.
So that was my worry, I suppose, with the rule changes, is rather being 15v15 in that space, it's going to be 12v12 in that space. But has the increase in space led to that period where teams are recycling the ball over and back around the 45, looking for a gap, I suppose? Is that shorter now? Because that's essentially what they're trying to get rid of.
There is. It does seem like there's more. I don't know if it's more urgency, or there's just the opportunity presents itself a wee bit quicker. I've seen it's definitely quicker. I haven't seen any. Yes, obviously you still have the periods where you're trying to put the ball around it and trying to find that gap and just waiting for that gap to open. They're trying to create it, but it's definitely. I haven't seen anything as long. Like, I haven't seen Galway fucking going for 4 or 5 minutes across the play. It does seem a bit more direct, and I think when you have that space, there's less bodies there. There's going to be more space. Players are going to be able to exploit that a wee bit quicker.
I think a big thing is like the defensive team have more space to cover. Mm-hmm. So when the ball's switched down one wing and they're defended manically, and the ball's switched over the other, they have to cover more space with less numbers. So they're trying to rush across the other side, and eventually someone's going to switch off easier than they did when it was 15. So like you would have seen, if a team was really well set up with 15 behind the ball and they'd went through this, for months, like they could probably prevent a scoring opportunity from opening up for quite a while. Whereas now it's a lot more difficult. So you're seeing, I suppose you're just seeing the opportunity arise a wee bit quicker. And then with the goalkeeper being involved, if you have an outfield goalkeeper or someone who's capable of coming up and actually taking a man on and creating a scoring opportunity, that's creating an opportunity a bit faster than before. Whereas if you have a keeper who maybe is just being that pivot player at the back, it's going to be a wee bit more difficult, I think.
The FRC said that they wanted to keep that in the game. They wanted to keep goalkeepers involved up the field. The worry was, with them not touching the ball in their own half, it would be harder to get on the ball up the field. However, you're saying that that's not the case. Do you think most teams are going to move in favour of having a goalkeeper that can be a dual threat, I suppose?
I think so. It's just from a number standpoint, like if you have your keeper who can get up and contribute, you have 12v11 there, or isn't it? 12?
Yeah, you have
12v11. Mans would be the strong point, like, but you have an extra man basically when the keeper comes up, and then even like press and kickouts. If you can you can keep the keeper up and he has it in the legs to get back quickly. Like they're blocking up more space. The zonal press can be intense now because the ball has to travel outside 40 metre the arc. So if you have another man in there, like it's like a keeper is massively beneficial. I thought initially when I heard the rules, I was like, oh, that's the keeper done, unless they can get up and join the play and all that. But yeah, the keeper can have a massive say in how games go. Like,
you're covering like a keeper.
Does the keeper sprint distance go higher than?
Like a keeper has to be fit now.
Yeah,
I just was having a look at some of the stats, and you're like, Jesus, some of them keepers are running more than I am.
Wouldn't be hard.
No shot there, yeah.
Not running faster though. But you think about it, if they're coming up 80% of our attacks, they have to run the whole way back to the net as well, and they're involved maybe for that whole play, so they're trying to find space themselves. So I think you're going to lose out if you don't have a keeper, or if you have a keeper who cannot contribute to the play in an attacking sense.
Because the keeper used to be able to contribute to the play in two ways in an attacking sense. One as a threat, obviously, as we talked about, getting on the ball up the field, and a scoring threat, taking on players. But the other as a pivot to switch the play. But almost now that they can't touch the ball in their own half, it's harder for them to be that pivot, is it?
If the ball's played to another player, yes. But if it comes to where they can get the ball and they can carry it out, if the play develops in that way, like you can probably get the players out then. But then the three who are up, they're probably going to go to the keeper then, and then they'll have to go to their man. But it depends on what way it comes. Like, the keeper probably has to get ahead of the ball, get up the pitch. If they want to get, then they can be the outlet coming onto the halfway line. Like, but yeah,
you're rarely gonna send your keeper up until you've got up. until you've got the ball into the other half. Like if you do that, you're risking an open net and a goal. So a large part of getting out from your own defence now is your full back line's ability to take their man on, and everyone being an option for the ball. If you have anyone who is hiding and doesn't want the ball, you're going to be hung out to dry if they squeeze with intent, especially against the better teams who have more athletic forwards. And the thing is now, as a forward, you're going to see so much more intent in terms of the tackling, the intensity they're bringing, because I can go full tilt here to try and win this ball back for whatever 20 to 20 seconds, because I know if they do get out, that's me. I get my break, and I think that's what you see in the top sides.
What's changed then to talk about the full back line? I suppose the back four, the keeper and the full back line, because they were saying that the really effective man marker might come back into it because of those inside forwards now staying in there looking for that direct ball. But you're saying that if they are rotating, the cornerbacks and the full back line, they still need to be able to do everything. They still need to be able to spray passes, get up, get involved in the attack. I
think so, because if you're a cornerback doesn't want the ball and he can't take his man on, then what do you think the other team's going to do? They're going to make him get the ball, and then they're going to squeeze him. So,
best person to ask about this is Owen.
Well, he's not good in the ball, so we don't ask him.
That's why he's the best person to ask.
Wing forward.
Aye, exactly.
You'll be trying to get out of that full back line, yourself.
Sort.
You'll be stuck back.
You've been trying to get out of it for 4 years. You have to be good on the ball. Like you have to be confident in your ability, and as you say, wanting the ball. Like you can't, like there's no player can go hiding, because it's literally man to man. Like you can't, like if one person's isolated, they're getting bottled up, and then the turnovers are happening, and then it's just you're getting punished for it. Like so, yeah, you have to be confident coming onto the ball, taking a man on, actually using the space that's going to be there. So yeah, everyone has to be happy on the ball.
If you're rotating in that full back line with lads out the field, is it typically the half back line that you're rotating with, or is it just whoever is available?
It just depends on the play. Like it could be, the play could be coming up from maybe they've attacked, they've turned it over and it's come out the other side. So it could almost like be like a full kind of rotation where whoever's on that side has come across and then we've gone up the other side. So it could be wing forwards, full forwards. Honestly, it could be anyone. Like.
So has communication then at the back become more important?
Don't know, I haven't played yet.
Well, you said in challenge games you were playing that there was a few fouls for people breaching the line, I suppose, when the ball's up the other end of the field. Was that because of a lack of awareness and communication? Will that go away?
Yeah, I think it's just a lack of communication at the minute, and obviously it's novel to us, and you're not used to having to stop at a halfway line when you're running back. Like, and it when it happens is if, say, if we're attacking and we lose the ball high up the pitch and you're scrambling, you're like, fuck, turn, sprint back just naturally. And I look around and I see 5 from man behind me at times. I'm just like, well, I have to go here. Whereas they're not thinking, is Dara gone? Or is my corner forward? Is one of the 3 up gone? But so they're naturally running back. So it's kind of up to them to they have to have the head in the swivel to see, has he gone? Is the 3 forwards up?
But when you're about to go then?
At times, I don't have time to look around and see.
But to even tell them, I'm gone, lads.
But if you think if it's a really fast break and there's a chance of a score, you're not going to be turning around and going, Mick, I'm way on here.
I'm going home. Yeah, I get you.
You know, like I think it's up to whoever's behind you to see it and decide, right, everyone's gone. I'm going to have to stay for this one. Because, like, if you start delaying who's running back, they could have a score created before you even.
I get you. Back. So, I know I bring it back to rugby sometimes just because it's a different lens to look at. But in a back 3 in rugby, you have your winger, sometimes your scrum half, your full back, and your wing. And one winger on the far side will be back for the kick initially with the full back behind the play. Mm-hmm. Once the ball leaves the out half's hands, the opposition out half, and goes outside him to the 12, and you know that the kick is not gone, the winger that is on that far wing will shout, I'm gone, I'm gone, I'm gone. And that is to tell the fullback that he's pushing up, so the fullback has to cover across to cover the kick. And then the fullback will shout, I'm gone, I'm gone, I'm gone, to the winger here to cover the kick here. So, but like you're not looking at him to say, look, I'm just heading on. You're just screaming it.
Yeah.
With the hope that somebody hears it.
I'd say you could probably end up bringing in certain calls to show that I'm gone or whatever. I think just shouting I'm gone is a bit chaotic when you're on a pitch. It's different in rugby because you're the only team. You know, you're different halves of the pitch, whereas we're all mixed in. Anyone could be shouting I'm gone.
Yeah, well, do it the next day out and try and block the opposition.
So, yeah, I don't know. I think to be honest, it comes down to every man having the head in a swivel and seeing what's around, who's gone, who's not gone. It's only like you see it with your own two eyes, like.
Because the worry was that the goalkeeper could essentially be gone out of the game if one team, and there probably is one team that might do it, play an outfield player in goal. And from what we hear about Donegal, Michael Murphy's lining up in goal, but that's probably to throws. I would have thought potentially you'd end up with 4 lads in the full back line that are rotating with one filling the goal as a fly keeper every so often.
There is that element where players do have to drop in. Like if they're, when you are pushing forward, as McGurn says, like you are running the risk of turnovers. It's the same as with the old rules when you're pushing the keeper up and the ball is turned over. It's still scramble the fence to get back. Can you put pressure on the ball up the pitch to get it slowed, or get a turnover again, but then the keeper's like, right, they have to get back too. But if you're looking up the pitch and you see the keeper's ahead of you and you're behind him, naturally you're probably thinking, right, someone needs to cover the net here. So then you're maybe dropping back, taking a man, pushing someone else on. So there's always going to be that risk, especially if they have to be so high up to get on the ball now. Like that's just going to be part of it. Like, but then that's the risk reward. If you do commit the keeper forward, you have a spare man in attack, spare man to press the kickouts. But then that's the risk you run on. If you do get caught out, then you're right. We need to scramble, get back here.
It's the Donegal dilemma of last year, and when who was it? Was it McKinless? Potentially should have dropped into the net.
Can't remember. And
left Doran take up the man that he was marking, but he stayed on the marker, and then they just kicked the ball into an empty goal. But like that's obviously what you're talking about. That's a live play that's happening in a split second. It's very hard to communicate what you should be doing there if you're not prepared for it.
Yeah, it's something you literally would have to have run through in training multiple times. Because once you get to a game and things are manic, you're just doing whatever's in front of you, like really.
Is it really manic at the moment then? And in the challenge games you've been playing, has there been anybody presenting any sort of structure that you weren't expecting, I suppose, trying to manipulate the rules?
Nothing mental so far, like from what I've seen. I've watched, I've actually took myself up into the stand to watch our game so far, just so you can see a bit more of it. Like, but I suppose the only thing is, it's like the keeper is pressing a wee bit higher, but then they're almost acting as the sweeper as well. Like we're chatting about looking up and seeing 3 men inside, 3 on 3, and there's loads of space, but then sometimes you're looking up and the keeper's the top man. Yeah. And you're going, right, well, there's that kick out. So, I don't know. No, there's been nothing completely out of the ordinary so far. Like
teams are still adapting. Like there's still some
the league will give you a real insight, I'd say.
Yeah, like I think there's an opportunity there for teams to innovate and bring something new to the table. Like even you're talking about there, if a keeper's sweeping, it gives an opportunity to try something different, like putting a high ball in. And I haven't seen anyone properly use the mark yet. Like if you get a mark inside the 21, you have unlimited time to go for a goal, or you get a free. And also if the keeper's out of his net, you get the ball over the top.
The kick pass has to clear him. It's like
but if you have a big man in the square, there's definitely opportunity there to try new things. Like we'll see.
The worry from the purists was that we were going to change the sport and it wasn't going to look like Gaelic football anymore. Does it still look like the same game?
Oh yeah. I think it's improved. Yeah, I do think it's improved. Like to be honest, for me it's improved. It's more enjoyable. But
you only have to run. You only have to play in one half.
I think like there's still a few tweaks can be made. I think the discipline one is. I just think it's going to be frustrating for people, not even just us. It's going to be frustrating for us, and we're going to adapt and we will change. But even for people watching, like I think it just kills the game. Like you could have something. The play could be, exciting to watch, and then the next thing our referee just stops it and brings it up 50 metres, and the boy taps a 13-metre free over the bar, and the whole intensity of that play is
the
gone.
worst bit. We were chatting about it yesterday. It's that when the player crosses the halfway line, but it's nowhere near the play. Yes, fair enough, right? The rule is you can't cross the halfway line, but like 1 foot across on the right hand side when the play is happening on the top left, and then it's right up the other end of the pitch for a 20-meter free. I think that's mental. I understand it has to be like a harsh penalty for that, then just don't go across. But like,
will you adapt to it? Do you think?
oh yeah, of course. Like it's getting used to it. Like, but as we're going to say, everyone has to be tuned in. Everyone has to be aware of what's happening. Like it is, like concentration levels were already high. They have to be up again. Like I suppose part of that comes from conditioning too. That if you are making more runs and it is faster pace, you have to be fit for that. But then obviously, yourself, whenever that fatigue sets in, like the mental side of things can go to shit too. Like so, again, just have to be switched on between the years as well. Not Dara's strong point.
to talk about being switched on between the years, there's always potentially 2 or 3 lads on every team that never shut up mouthing at the referee. Are those lads, in some instances, if they don't adapt, are they just not going to be selected anymore because it's too much of a penalty on the team?
Could be.
If they continue to do it, I wouldn't play them.
The teammates will turn on them pretty quickly. Like if you're working your balls off and you're getting them down the pitch, and then like especially now with a 50-meter penalty, that's you give away 3 of them, that's a turn of a game. 2 of them, like one of them could come down to it. Like there was, I think we had a challenge match and there was maybe 3 or 4 scores from between throwing the ball away, crossing the halfway line, or slabbering back. Like any division that's like any game is tight, that's the game lost. Like
one of our friendlies, we had 7 13-meter frees. Like the ball was barely in play. That's what I mean in terms of frustrating. But obviously that's early doors, and that's just it's going to be adapting to the rules and learning. Like
if you mouth back to the referee, do you still get a tick, or do they just give the penalty and bring the ball up 50 meters?
I think they just bring it up 50 meters.
It's enough of a penalty.
It depends what you say.
You haven't tested it out yet.
But like even you're getting the ball moved up 50 meters. If you show any real frustration, you could turn away in the opposite direction and fucking blind. But no, like to yourself, and I think that's going to be penalised as well. So is
that going to be penalised by every referee? Do you think?
That's the problem.
I don't think so. That's where there's going to be blurred lines, and one referee's going to referee the game completely different to the other. And even in our challenge game so far, I've noticed one referee's refereeing it completely different to another. So
was that not happening anyway though?
That was happening anyway. That's
but the argument is, with all the rules being so strict, everyone needs to be on the same page, and you need to have that consistency. But they're going to be. I think the good thing is, all the referees are going to be a lot stricter, and it has to be that way to make everything stick. Like you can't have 1 week one referee's reffing it one way, getting away with this, and then the next week you're getting away with this. Like because the rules are so
black and white.
But I was going to say black and white, but they're not. Like there's so many ifs and buts, and sure, what if this happens? Can you do this, or can we do? It's like. But it has to be, they have to follow it to the letter of the law. Like, and if it does mean, that's the quickest way you're going to learn too. Like, if you're getting punished by turning around and going, fuck me, or whatever it is, like, and it's a 50-meter penalty, you're going to stop doing it.
It's a frustrating one when you get punished for something that you like, it wasn't a foul, or you actually didn't do something wrong, and you're naturally going to be frustrated, and it's 50 meters as well as the fact that it wasn't even a free.
Yeah.
And that's when something like at club level anyway.
You may bite the jersey or bite your tongue or something.
Sometimes the standard refereeing isn't great.
Yeah.
That's
sport.
You just have to get on with it.
So to go back to what you said about it becoming more enjoyable for forwards, is it because you're getting more scoring opportunities? Is it because you're getting more touches on the ball? Or is it the quality of those scoring opportunities?
Or you don't have to do as much.
Because you're not blowing out of your hole for 70 minutes. That's one part of it. But I've said it a few times now, like when the ball comes up, and if you have spent the last 3-4 minutes, 5 minutes maybe standing up there barely moving, you're fresh when the ball comes up, so you're able to create more scoring opportunities. So it's the combination of being fresh and the combination of being and also the fact that there's more space since 11v12. I've found in our challenge games anyway, there's definitely been more scoring opportunities.
What's changed from a physical perspective for the inside players?
You have to be able to take your man on. You need to be explosive, fast, able to take a score. Obviously, like I think you're going to want more explosive players, in your front three, I think anyway, to make use of that freshness. And because the opposition team's going to have 3 take tough, probably athletic defenders as well. Whereas before, when it was breaking down 13, 14, 15 men, you kind of wanted maybe 1 or 2 explosive players, but you wanted someone who maybe was able to break down the defence, pick a pass, utilise the small spaces that were available. So, as we were talking about yesterday, it probably is going to be a wee bit more anaerobic. Big power plays, who can make the big power plays and create scoring opportunities is probably going to be a big one.
So it obviously depends on style of play as well, but in your mind, who would be the ideal inside forward to suit the game now with the new rules?
Con.
Yep, that's exactly.
Darragh Canavan.
And who would be the ideal then? Because you've touched on the full back line having to contribute to play. Who would be the ideal cornerback, say?
Oh, McCabe.
We're laughing with you.
Yeah.
Would it be someone like in the
Thomas Sullivan
prototype of Thomas Sullivan or a Lee Keegan from back in the day?
Keegan. Yeah.
But then, like, if they're not going to be able to go every time, I'm more thinking like Thomas Sullivan's more of a
he wants to get
he's
up
tight tough, but he can kick scores
with
ease. I'm thinking someone who has just explosive pace and power and can take their man on.
Lay it
Simple
off before they
as
get to that.
just take their man on and he's comfortable on the ball, so you don't need to be able to put the ball over the bar anymore, is it?
Do you think O'Sullivan gets moved out then into the middle eight?
Yeah, see, it depends who you're playing.
But then they have that ability to, like, if you can get if you can get a couple of players who can be tight, fast, explosive, get up and score, then it's very fluid then than everyone. But I suppose there is that element then of it depends on the opposition. Depends if they're gonna put ball in quick. The man marking is gonna be key. It's gonna be a lot more important anyway. But yeah, it's like, do you go with someone who's like an out and out marker, or do you bring someone in who can do a bit of everything too? Like, but
depends who you're playing.
That's it. Yeah.
So you've also played in the middle eight.
Yeah.
What was the major difference? Was it like a totally different sport?
Yeah, it's completely different. Like, you're just on the go the whole time, and also the fact that most kickouts go long now. You're going up and battling between 10 men for most kickouts, which is fun as well at times, and it's completely different. And then you're up and down a good bit more. It's more aerobic, like, so. Yeah, I only played one of the challenge games there, and I'd rather play inside.
So we've mentioned them a few times, but we haven't gone into detail on them. The kickout was essentially a set piece, and it was an attacking play that you were given. Is that gone away because they're so contestable now? Is it less of an asset to have a kick out, or do you need a completely different strategy?
Yeah, because you're not getting away shorts as the ball still has to travel outside the 40, the arc, so you're not just able to chip it to the top of the D if they drop off. From what I've seen, a lot of teams are going for the press, and there's less space to kick into, I suppose, and then that's just like, right, if we have to bang it out long, it's then who's going to win the dirty ball sort of thing. I think it's like a bit harder to create those sort of pockets and those bits of space, but yeah, I think it's definitely less of an advantage to have a kick out than what it was. I think if you had a kick out, you were more or less guaranteed. You would have seen the stats 85, 90, 95% like retention or success rate. Like, I don't think that's not going to happen now. Like,
No.
It's above 50%, hopefully.
No,
or is it 50-50 when it goes out there?
Depends where your keeper's putting it. Like,
yeah, like you need a keeper who's able to kick long accurately as well. Like, there's a lot of keepers who are so used to now hitting shorts that they try and hit a long kick out and they're just scuffing, 20-30% of them, if even, and that has an impact, a huge impact. So you're gonna, I think you still need a keeper who can hit medium to short kickouts with accuracy, even more so now, because
it has to be pinpoint.
If you can't get a kick out, you have to put that on the money or you're getting turned over.
Yeah.
And then you want a keeper who can boom.
If the long one's off by 5%, like, it's like
you're not winning it.
Yeah.
The teams that were effective as well were also very effective because they could get the ball out quickly. Is it still getting out quickly, or is it even a possibility because those short kickouts are gone?
You can get it out quickly, but they can still get it out. But I find how quickly they're getting the actual kick off then is not.
No,
like, it's like you're allowed to get the ball out quickly before everyone's out or before the whistle blows, but like, it's just not setting itself up in that way. Like, where you could get the ball out quickly and chip it out to a man who's free, but because it has to go that bit further.
Yeah.
If you're looking to receive the ball, you have to be outside the 40. Like,
previously for those short kickouts, you were a lot of the time hitting it to the cornerbacks or the halfbacks.
Yeah.
Now you're trying to pick somebody out that's up the field more like a half forward or.
Not even like you're if you like there's still the odd kick out going to a halfback or a cornerback. It's again, you will see keepers who are trying to be as patient as possible, and everyone's trying to move about that. Most teams are going zonal.
Yeah, that's
from what I've seen.
Next
so
question.
You're trying to move that about, and sometimes it opens up, and you have to put it on the money, and you will get the odd one away. And the way naturally there'll be teams that'll probably get very good at that. They'll figure it out. But yeah, like still majority's going long from what I have seen.
Why are most teams going zonal? Why is that more effective than going man on man?
Reduces space. It looks like if you're a keeper looking out and you just see opposition men, and then you're looking at any sort of gap where you're looking to play the ball, you've got either a man in the space or you've got the sideline. And then it's like, as you say, it has to be, if you're looking to ping one, it has to be on the money. Or you're picking a certain area, loading it, and then it's a dogfight for it. Like, so
if you go man to man, you're
easier
you
to
can
get
manipulate, you can move everyone about, you can block off players, you can get a faster man on a slower man and bring everyone to one side and get the space. Like it's a lot easier to get it away if it's man to man, I think.
Put me and McGurn on each other and just play the high ball.
Yeah.
I'd win.
So I think there's only one rule that we haven't gone through, but what has been the biggest change? What has been the biggest rule change? Most effective and has changed the game?
It's the 3, I think.
It's the 3 up. 3 up's the most impact, yeah. Definitely.
So we haven't touched on it yet, but it obviously is a major change. 2-point scores.
Good addition, great addition. But not a massive. I think it's great. Like if you're pinging one, you should get the 2 points 100%. But I haven't seen like a massive blow away with them.
I think they're still being underutilized from what I've seen. I think the teams who do have the long kickers and can get 4, 5, maybe more 2-pointers in a game are going to have a massive chance of winning. So it's going to favour certain teams, I think. But you can also fall into a trap of trying to kick 2-pointers more often and kicking multiple wides and be under serious pressure because of that.
The short is a kill. Like the ball's not gone dead. It's fucking. Well, always was the case. Like it's either
if
it goes dead,
or at least it's nearly 50-50 on a kick out if you press well.
If you drop it short or
yeah.
Because the kickouts are the way they are, it's probably going to encourage more people to take shots from the 2-point arc or outside the 2-point arc.
Yeah,
as long as they can
I think so.
Get it wide.
Like if you have a breeze, I think it's more often than not a better risk to take is going for the 2-pointers more often than not and squeezing it.
Who are going to be the most threatening team for 2-point scores?
Paul Conroy kicks about 5 every game anyway, so Galway are going to have a good chance.
Be interesting to see Dublin because they're so used to walking it up and going around the D. Be interesting to see Fenton's gone. It'd be interesting to see what they bring to it because I'm sure they have the players though they could do it. Like, but you're just not used to seeing this, everything so percentage. And Jim Gavin just completely changed the game and then gets out of coaching and changes it again.
But because they were so effective. And they probably will be still so effective in playing that game where they're direct and they're carrying it in and taking the easy options.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily need to change what they're doing, do they?
Because there's more space on the play that game. Yeah, that's true. But
they get goals like Dublin.
Yeah.
So
and the runs, the angles, and that they can run at is just. And if there's more space, then it's going to be interesting here.
So we've touched on who's going to be the team or the player that's going to benefit the most from these rule changes at the top level, but can you think of any teams, and you can't say Antrim or Fermanagh, that are going to have a jump in their level because of the assets that they have on the team being suited to playing with these new rules?
I think so much of it depends. Like it's
hard to judge that right now. Like if you look across most inter-county teams, they're like athleticism's improved massively across the board. Like in the top 16 teams, like you're rarely going to have more than like 2 players who aren't athletic, if you know what I mean. Like it's just gone to that stage now. I think where the difference will the two things I think probably will make the biggest difference are who you've got in nets. I think is going to be huge. Can they come out and can they get involved in the play and can they pick off kickouts when they're under pressure and the team's pressed up? And the other thing is long range. How many long range kickers do you have and how accurate are they? Both of them things are going to have a huge bearing on the game.
I think how teams use the ball too. Like you might see again, you can see the space and go, right, let's go, gallop up. But if that pass inside or that use of the ball isn't there and that turnover happens, it's like straight up that you're getting punished for it right away. Like, so yes, you can have the athleticism and all that too, but like the skill, it's back to executing the skill at pace, under pressure, under fatigue. That's is where decision making. Like
the likes of Kerry, like their skill execution in terms of getting a ball inside, kick passing is always at a very high level. So that game's going to be on for them, and they have the options inside with Clifford and stuff. So other teams might try and start doing kicking games when they haven't done it for the last 5 years, and as you say, they could be hitting they get turned over like constantly, and it'll just go.
And that breaks the team down too. Like when you're constantly you're putting the ball in, and then it's not sticking. It's like it's horrible.
Yeah.
So we're picking blind here, but we did it last year. So I want you to pick a team.
Cheers, PD. I'm excited to try.
I want you to pick a team to look out for the league, a team to look out for the championship. It can be the team that you reckon is going to win the All-Ireland, but it can be somebody you think will go far. And I want you to pick a player to watch out for the whole season, each. And you can't pick anyone from Antrim or from Anna.
I'm going Kerry.
Kerry, Clifford, and
Kerry, Clifford, and
Kerry.
Yeah, just because they do have a nice mix there of like pure athletic players that can get up and down. Like Gavin White he's a freak. But like they're all just the way they play football, just traditional way of, like the skills are such a high standard. The shooting can be class. So yeah, Kerry
for the championship.
Fuck, I don't know. Yeah. As in a team that when it comes into the summer, we're playing well. Yeah, I think it'd be class to watch. But then you're looking at Donegal in the league, like McGuinness again, genius. Murphy back in, be interesting to see what's done there.
Okay, so Donegal league.
Right, you're holding me to all these, are you?
Kerry championship.
I'm thinking out loud. He's holding me to them.
I think I'd probably watch out for maybe Tyrone in the league because they're going to get a kick from Mickey coming in.
Who's Mickey?
Mickey Hart. Sorry, not Mickey Hart. Sorry, Malachy O'Rourke. What am I on about? Jeez, Mickey's back. And then I'd say in the championship it's gonna be Donegal. I think that
Wi-Fi slowing for Mana.
Donegal to watch out for, or Donegal to win it?
No, I'm
Donegal
not
for Ireland.
You're not calling
I just think that Jim McGuinness will have an eye in championship.
Okay, and a player from both of you. We'll go Dara for player first because it made own pick first last time.
Player
to look out for at any level, just for the whole season to look out for.
I'll go with Owen McElhone from Tyrone.
Good
He's up and coming. I've seen him a few times at the underage, and he's serious ability.
It can be a player that we know is already outstanding, but it's just going to be probably even better.
The rules.
Yeah.
Naturally, I'm going to Clifford, just thinking about space and what role he's going to play if he's inside and being able to get that quality passing and having 3-on-3 inside. You could probably go in. I'll just go Clifford because you could probably go in the old teams.
Come on,
he looks promising, doesn't he? This young Clifford.
He's decent, like
not a bad player, like.
Right, so just before we wrap up,
just couldn't fucking.
Before we wrap up, thanks for the insight on round 1 next weekend. Year home.
We're home to Clara.
And year away.
Away in Newbridge, Kildare.
You're not quite there yet.
No, back in I got my first team session done last week. Don't know if we said in the podcast I got surgery yet, so got the hamstring surgery last year in August. Rehab's been going pretty well. So back in the one team training session last week. Hopefully all being well, get 2 this week, and then if that's all good, back in the full steam ahead. Might be cutting it close before the Fermanagh game in round 2, like, but we'll see.
And Dara, you are
fancy it, eh?
You are fit, ready to go, and playing decent minutes by the sounds of things.
Yeah, played a couple of friendlies now. Good minutes in the legs, full pre-season in the legs as well. So looking forward to getting back this weekend. Yeah.
How are you feeling going into round one? Are you feeling confident? Because obviously last season when you were coming in off the back of the injury, you said like physically it was tough to get up to the pace of the game and the volume of running that you were getting in the games.
I'm confident this year. Like I feel good, body feels good, feel comfortable in the environment. It probably made me realise actually last year when I thought I probably was back at the level, but it was how I feel now compared to how I feel then is like light years apart. So and that's inter-county football for you. It's very difficult to miss a full league and a full pre-season and expect to come back and be performing well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this weekend, to be honest.
So just to go off the back of that then, advice for the club players going into the new season at this time, given that they're in their pre-season currently?
Join the 365 office. Too late though.
So late.
Yeah, it literally is. It's the difference it makes when you put a big off-season, pre-season in terms of what you get in the legs, in terms of strength you build up, improving your movement, factoring in bits of speed work, stuff like that is huge with how you feel in the pitch and reducing your risk of injury throughout the season, like being able to withstand the load, because we all know the load that be thrown at club players when they first go back in terms of volume, in terms of intensity, everything just goes through the roof. So at least if you've done some form of work in the off-season, pre-season, you'll be able to withstand a lot of that and push on and feel good in the pitch when the first league game or championship game, whatever it is, begins.
Owen, advice for players that potentially were struggling with injuries at the back of last season and have this time, I suppose, to get them right?
Yeah, one, have a good physio in place and manage the load effectively. It's like you'd much rather do the work now, get it under control, rather than trying to manage it throughout a season. That's probably helped. Like I'd probably be back by now if it wasn't for a few other things just sort of popping up. So it's like you'd rather get it under control, keep it under control, but get it minimized as much as possible. Before you start ramping up the loads, rather than just going Asher, be grand to play on through. That yes, as much as you want to get back out playing, especially after a long layoff over the winter, there's no point in you doing yourself a disservice at this time of the year to come back to bite you later on in the year or be in and out whenever it comes to games and be frustrated. So yeah, just get it right as soon as you can, and then build it back up from there.
All right, lads, good to be back. So thanks for coming down to Dublin, I suppose, and myself coming up to Dublin for the recording. But
Do you not live in Dublin? No.
not anymore. But excited.
Yep, bro.
Excited for the season ahead and get back to it and to continue getting some good content out for these guys. So
Yes, sir.
Cheers,
Cheers.
boys.